up, listen to the Coyote. Why do they sound so menacing? And do they know what I did last night? Does my sin seem interesting?
Cosmodon is back.
All right, is everyone ready?
Yep.
Hold on, now I gotta take a piss.
Is it like a yawn?
Hey, wait. Is that a joke or is he serious?
No, that's a joke.
Okay.
When I'm ready to go, I'm ready to go.
We gotta put that on the podcast.
Yep. All right, so welcome to episode 17 of the GankBush Squadcast.
Woohoo!
17 is a very strange number to be proud of.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, we're almost legal. You can put that in the podcast.
Next week will be barely legal.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right, I lost my train of thought here. So welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Matt Cummins. And let's go ahead and introduce the other members of the squad. We'll introduce Daniel Cummins. How are you doing, Dan?
Hey, Matt. It's great here to be in the Nexus. I've been in the Nexus for a while, and whoa.
Yeah.
What's that over there?
Every week you're entering the Nexus.
I think I see someone.
Look who it is.
Oh, hey, it's Tychus. What's Tychus doing? How have you been, man? Hey, I know you're a big fan of the podcast. Do you want to just say a few words?
Sure thing. Hell, it's about damn time.
Oh, time for what, Tychus? And Dan's skit ends.
Okay. So just a few questions, Tychus. What do you think about the podcast?
Oh, love it.
Okay. So I know you have favorites on the podcast and stuff, but you know I think I'm like one of your favorite hosts, right?
No.
Okay. All right, we don't have to talk about that. What do you have any comments about? Being the Nexus all day. It's a hard job.
They could at least let me out of the suit between matches. Starting to stink in here.
Really? What does it smell like?
Yeah. Smells like liverwurst and tobacco. Oh.
I think something's happened to Tychus. He got sick. I think he's going to go off and see Morales now. He's not looking good. I think that's it for Tychus.
That's it for the one-man show of Dan.
Yeah. How long did it take you to write that entire dialogue up?
What are you talking about? I was talking to Tychus.
Tychus Finley, right there,
I'm
man.
here in the Nexus. People pass around. Didn't you hear him? Like, Tychus got sick, man. He's going to go see Morales now.
Morales.
Morales. Anyway, that was kind of weird. I just ran to Tychus. That was weird.
Yeah. I am at a loss for words because I had no idea Dan was going to do that. So.
No, we didn't. No one knew that.
I must apologize to all the listeners that you had to endure that.
Damn time.
About damn time for that skit to end.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's go ahead and introduce Scott Stevenson. How are you doing, Scott?
Little up, little down. Was watching the Warriors game and saw them lose. Had a few beers while I was there, so it's like a win-loss. It's a split.
What kind of beer was it?
Sierra Nevada.
Oh, okay.
One of my go-tos. Solid beer.
So how has your week been in terms of Heroes of the Storm?
I haven't had that much time to play since the patch hit, but it's been all right. For what I've seen, Medivh is pretty hard to use, particularly regarding his portal. I haven't seen anyone use his portal outside of Medivh himself.
No, that's
usually, like, by the time it's just like, oh shit, we need to get out here, and it's like Medivh's casting his portal, and like you already have ran past it because you weren't like expecting it.
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of like a learning curve on what to deal with them, and you really got to trust them to lay that thing out there. Otherwise, you're just hovering near them and die.
Yeah.
And it doesn't seem very noob friendly from what I have seen.
I agree with that completely.
Let's move ahead and talk to Patrick Cummins. How are you doing, Pat?
Hey, doing good, man. Doing good. I'm starting to do my ranked match, my placement matches for Hero League.
Are you going solo in those?
Doing solo queue. Well, I play with Matt a lot, and we just get noob.
Wait, so
It's really
they
bad.
let you play with Matt right now?
No. It's solo queue for Hero League, and it's dual queue for unranked quick match.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can
for
you
unranked
queue with
draft.
Matt right now?
No, we cannot. Me and Pat cannot play together in Hero League.
Because
But-
I know you can't do it after your rank, but right now you guys are both unranked, and it still won't let you?
No, I tried
that's
to
the-
play with a friend of mine who's at Pat's level, and it wouldn't let us play.
Yeah, and when we do the unranked draft mode, it says during the game start, requirements unmet. Probably because me and Matt are so different in MMR.
Really? It didn't say that for us. It just wasn't highlighted to click OK. For me, at least.
No. So it allows, if it's unranked draft, it allows it. But you get this little note saying, "Oh yeah, this match is effed up."
Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing Hero League, and I've been winning a lot of my Hero League placement games.
What's your
So,
record?
3-0.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
Dang. Matt and
Well,
I
like-
played like yesterday, and like we're like 1 and 2.
I still maintain they're not our fault because we had to disconnect.
Yeah.
And then
Our first game we played was some guy like drops within the first 10 seconds.
Happens a lot.
It was like our first game. We're pumped up about it. Fresh start.
10 seconds AFK.
Just like dropped. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck. This is a loss.
Yeah, kind of.
Well, let's go ahead and move on to the housekeeping. So you can find us at GankBushSquad.com. You can also find us on iTunes. If you go to iTunes and do a search for GankBush Squadcast, you'll see our podcast. And if you do listen to us on iTunes, it would be super awesome if you guys gave us a rating of 5 stars.
Otherwise,
Only
don't rate
5
us.
stars.
Yeah, otherwise, do not.
Yeah. 4 stars.
So also, you can also find us on Stitcher. If you go every week, when we post the podcast, on the GankBushSquad.com, you'll find the show notes, and that has links to all the things that we talk about, as well as the timestamps of everything that we talk about. So if you just want to listen to one particular thing, you can just go there. Also, you can find us on Twitter at GankBush Squad. We have a YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and just do a search for GankBush Squad, and you'll find us there too as well. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the meat of the show. Obviously, the patch came out on Tuesday. Oh, also, we are recording this Thursday, June 16th at 9:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Medivh got launched in the latest patch on Tuesday. So, Patch, what is your thoughts on Medivh?
You call me Patch?
Yeah, I was just going through Patch.
Patches
All right. Let's go, Patch.
All right,
Patch Adams.
that's tough. Yes, Medivh, as talked about before, is a very high skill cap character, and
Patch.
as Scott put it, I've never seen anyone but Medivh use his own portal to escape fights where he has bad positioning. That's all I see him do.
Yeah, it's only for his own escape.
Yeah, exactly. It's his own escape. It's his blink. That's what it is.
Yeah, it seems like a team, like, unless you're like coordinated in Team League, I don't see it being super useful.
Well, we all kind of knew that, though. We all knew
But-
that beforehand.
Noobs, right? I said they spend most of their time in crow form, just flying around watching the enemy team win the game.
Yeah.
But I'm invulnerable. F you guys. I'm giving.
Hey, you gotta find out the right time to strike, like an assassin, except you're not one.
Exactly, and then they decrow form in the middle of their team, and then they put the bubble on themselves and they get stunned. Like, hey, no damage for me, but they're still dying. They have bad positioning.
Yeah, he currently
It's
has
very-
he currently has a 22% win rate overall, and with Master and Diamond level, his win rate is 29%.
That's horrible. That's like the lowest I've ever, I think, seen.
Yeah, that's lower than Chromie's.
Chromie at least does damage, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
he's pure
Right.
support.
Right now, he's like pure support. Like his
Yeah.
damage is really poor.
Really.
I think they got to buff his Q a little bit, maybe, so that he could do a decent amount of damage, like independently.
Yeah, when in doubt, Blizzard has shown that if they don't know how to fix a character, they'll just dramatically increase the damage output.
So that's kind of how it goes. They don't really switch the skills around once they're kind of set.
Well, they could, but they don't want to do it to a new character. They want this kit to exist in the Netsys.
Yeah,
The problem is how to make this kit viable.
I still maintain that the win rate is going to be low for quite a while because what happens is that everyone has to learn the character. And since this character does so many unique things, it's going to take a while for the community, especially for lower levels. Well, actually, the lower levels may never get it. But at the higher levels, we'll eventually understand how to play Medivh.
It's similar to
and also the sample size is really small. It's only 666 games played.
I mean, I haven't played with them because I'm just playing Hero League and no one picks them. But how's the ult coming out? The polybomb.
Polybomb is very good, but I've seen a lot of really bad polybombs of said Medivh goes in troll form, center of the team, polybombs and then dies.
Yeah.
He just thinks he's Zool. It's like his Zool ability.
He's Zeratul. Like, I'm invisible. Like, no, you're not. They see you.
He pops the W and then does the polybomb.
Yeah, and then he runs into his death still.
He teleports out or gates out.
But people play him as Zeratul, as an assassin, but he has no damaging abilities for 1 Q.
What I've noticed is that at my MMR, players I've played 4 or 5 games with the Medivh, and all of them always are they're all thin-skinned and are really apt to start flaming immediately.
Yes.
Which I find very interesting because Medivh is the ultimate support character. So you would think that like the personality types of people who would play that character would be support players and want to help everyone, but not flame out.
No, you're wrong though, Matt. These are people who buy him for 15K. These are people who are over-resourced and don't have a value of money. They say, I want this now. And so these are the impatient kids who don't care about anything else. They're selfish.
It's Violet from Willy Wonka.
Yes, it is the Violet Willy Wonka.
But
giant blueberry.
Like a lot of times, like I said, like Pat's right, where like the Raven just flies around and doesn't do anything. So then when you chat and say, hey, Medivh, can you do something? And they start flaming and saying, oh, this is a new build. Like, well, yeah, that's fine. But, you should be at least trying to help somehow, some way. I
did find a fun troll thing with Medivh. If you put your thing in a bush, and if you accidentally click past it, you kind of go through the warp. Happened in one of our team fights where he put both of the gates in 2 bushes, and I kept going back and forth between the 2 of them. I had stuck in a Mobius loop. Like, damn it.
So you automatically got teleported through the bush or through the portal when you clicked on the bush?
I clicked walk into the bush, and he put a portal there. Like, I warped into their team. Like, damn it. Wait, hold on. Are we having a 5th man join the Netsys? And it's not Tychus?
That soundboard.
It's about time, David.
It's about damn time.
What's going on, guys? I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I did not get a call, and also apparently thought it was an hour earlier than it is. So
you're offline. That's why.
Hold on, David. We have a friend, we have a visitor from the Netsys who wants to say something to you.
Look who it is.
Thanks, Tychus.
No, but David, it says on Skype that you're not online. So,
well, I'm fixing that now. I don't know why it says that though. I never said it to say that.
Oh, okay.
Fucking hate Skype. It's so jank, dude.
Microsoft, man.
It is jank.
Yeah, without Skype, there's no podcast though.
Well, yeah, we'd find a way, but...
Yeah, there'd be like Google Chat or something.
For God's sake.
All right, let's introduce David Dunne, who came right in the middle of the podcast. So we started talking about Medivh already, but let's go ahead and introduce David Dunne.
Hi there, everyone. Apparently I am, I guess, unfashionably late at this point.
It's okay. So what are your thoughts on Medivh? Have you played it all this week, or...?
I have played, mostly played ARAM, because for some reason that's just what I'm doing right now, but I'm enjoying Medivh, particularly with, have you guys talked about the support changes yet?
No, that's in another topic later on.
Okay, because I think actually that Medivh is sort of a prelude to that. I think that's the way that support characters are going to start moving.
Yeah.
I don't want to segue too much into that, but I think that his his sort of trend towards damage prevention and damage prevention mechanics and utility other than healing is going to be sort of the new trend for support heroes to take.
But
because
you can't really
they're trying to move away from sustain.
But you can't really undo the abilities from the established characters. Like
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You're just going to change
They
it all.
don't even have Medivh listed as a support, right? He's listed as a specialist.
He is, but
Specialist.
now the specialist is really just like it's the catch-all term for characters that don't have a cleared role, right? Like Medivh has one support ability, one wave clear ability, one scouting ability, one movement ability. Like he's just getting a hodgepodge of stuff.
He's not. He's like the only support, I guess, specialist that isn't like a sieging specialist. I think all the other specialists have some sort of siege ability. Even the Vikings, they're more about in lane and sieging, pushing lanes.
They're more about siege damage, the Vikings, but they don't really have like a sieging ability per se. They just have like the ability to be in multiple bushes at once.
They got a sieging
Just like
ability.
Scott.
Baylog has a cleave. He's got a 50% cleave. That thing is huge for siege damage.
All right, fair enough. Jeez. Yeah.
No, Scott had a few beers tonight, so that's why.
Yeah, he's a little
That's
blizzard.
fair.
He's drunk.
Yeah.
Well, if it makes you feel
I
any
was
better,
just stating an obvious thing. Like,
I'm hungover as balls, so because
you don't sound too hot right now.
Well, it's E3 week, so I was just at E3, and I had a night of heavy drinking yesterday, and then I was having a couple of hair of the dog trying to keep my energy up, and I just had a nap. It did not help at all. I'm still hungover.
So for those who don't know, what is E3?
E3 is
I don't know.
Electronics Entertainment Expo, hence the 3 E's, and it is the largest enterprise software convention. Well, not enterprise software, the largest entertainment software convention, like enterprise side. Like it's for the professionals in the industry. So you go there, and there are press events there, but it's mostly for companies to show each other what they're doing, and so you can get some really cool demos from people and talk to your friends from other companies. And mostly for me, it's about drinking with old friends, because every time you leave a studio, all of your friends kind of spread out to all of these other studios in the industry. And so this is one of the times where everyone kind of comes together and consolidates into California. So after many pitchers of margarita, here I am, 20 minutes late to our podcast.
Get back on track here.
Yeah, sure. We had a little virtual reality E3 segue there.
Yeah.
/ Dave's hungover segue.
So back to Medivh, I think what I said before was that I think the win rate will go up. I think what's going to happen is that in 2 weeks they're going to buff his Q, and I think eventually, 3-4 months from now, his win rate will be like probably in the middle to lower third of characters. But I think in Team League formats, it will be much higher.
He requires coordination, so I think that's probably hurting his numbers at the moment. And I also just think that the cooldown on his Q should be lower. I think that part of what makes it fun is the ability to spam, and I think they should actually take the 1 second cooldown reduction that you get from the 35 stack talent and just build that into the ability, not necessarily the damage buff from the 35 stacks, but just make that the base cooldown.
Well, I think if the next buff doesn't work, then they'll end up doing something like that where they reduce the cooldown.
I think so. I think
the talent
that they will do
is
that.
absolutely terrible to begin with, and just had to scrap that.
But I think that the cooldown from that talent, like when I was playing him in try mode, makes that ability feel much more responsive and fun. To have the 1 second cooldown instead of like there was a 2.5 second cooldown or something when you hit something.
Well, I would just like to say I don't think they're really going to buff the portal, the teleport, because that's the hardest one to use, right? I mean, you can buff it, but then it's got to be still going to be the hardest to use. The easiest way to bump up his win rate is just have his Q get buffed, because that's the simplest to use, and it does damage.
Well, that's what they did with her Crummy. So,
do we still call Crummy Crummy? Is she still got low win rate?
She's a piece of shit character still. So yeah, she's Crummy in my book. So.
Well, we have to wait until the support changes come in, then we'll see.
Well, yeah, interestingly enough, they mentioned her directly in the support changes, and they talked about how they are displeased with how high they had to tune her damage. And I think that is part of the problem, is that poke characters do suffer in a metagame that is defined by healing. Yeah. Because you can't really poke.
Yeah, she's not the problem, though. Like, she isn't poke. She's straight up burst damage with how hard she hits. Her problem isn't with sustained heroes being able to heal her. It's the fact that her damage is so predictable that people could dodge it easily, so it doesn't land consistently.
Unless you have her ult at level 9, then you get an insta-kill on any squish.
Exactly. When
Yes.
her ult goes off and she hits super hard, you don't say, "Oh, hey, she poked the shit out of me." No, she bursts you down because
Yeah.
that's what she does. But
Yes,
the fact
but
that-
if there was less sustain in the game, I think that they would have more freedom to reduce the wind-up time on those abilities and give her less damage per shot, so
they
that
should
she
just do
could
that in
become
general.
a well. If you do that though, then you wind up right now. The poke meta game is sort of like if you get outpoked, you withdraw until your healer heals you back up to full, and if they can't pick off someone on the exit, then the fight resets and then you come back in.
We'll talk about that one next, but I have one little small thing to bring up first. Is that if you watch the latest Medivh video from Blizzard, at the end of that video, Gul'dan is in the video.
Gul'dan.
Whatever.
Which I think shocks no one, given that they just
Yeah.
released the movie.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
watch the Warcraft movie, Medivh and Gul'dan are two of the main characters.
Featured very prominently, yes.
Yeah, so what is, are they like allies or something, or?
No.
How dare you?
The way that
Wow.
the lore sort of arc went was that Medivh was the guardian of Tirisfal, which is this sort of magical entity slash mage who's extremely supremely powerful, and his seat of power is at Karazhan, and he was supposed to protect the world. But he is driven mad by demonic forces, and so he ends up bringing the orcs through the dark portal to Draenor in his insanity. In
Yeah.
so doing, sets in motion the first war between orcs and men.
And Gul'dan is the leader of the orcs that are coming through the dark
Yep.
portal.
Mhm. He's the warlock who helped open the dark portal on his side.
Pretty sure he's going to be the next character.
Yes.
I am hoping that he will be. I've been waiting for Gul'dan for a while. One of the
You guys like the
warlock
movie?
action I've been here.
Did you guys like the movie, by the way?
If you are a longtime Warcraft player, there will be many, many pleasurable moments where you will get to see awesome reimaginings of a lot of stuff that you've been
Oh yeah,
messing
it
with
was
for 20
awesome.
years. But
Especially playing World of Warcraft, where you get
Yeah.
to see the different areas that you kind of quested in and shit. It was really cool.
I'm waiting for the director's cut before I pass judgment over how I feel about the plot, because a lot of it feels rushed, because I think they were really pushing to deliver a 2-hour cut of the movie, and I really wish they had just Lord of the Rings the shit out of it and just given me like a 3-hour Warcraft epic. I wanted one of those. Hopefully there'll be like 40 minutes of extended footage and it'll be a freaking awesome one.
Okay. All right, let's go ahead and move on to another topic, which has already been sort of discussed, and that is there was a post on the forum from one of the developers at Blizzard asking for opinions about healing and also supports. So basically, and again, this will be linked to in the show notes at GankBushSquad.com. But basically, the developer says, how can we alter the game in terms of healing, supports, as well as like regen globes and also the healing well.
The support characters isn't even really mentioned much.
Well,
They said-
There's a video that I will also link to with Kaldor and
My Insanity guy.
from Splendor from My Insanity,
There we
who's the best European team. But anyway, so they talk about supports, and also these are the ideas he put. One idea is to increase the health and mana from regen globes.
Mm-hmm.
So currently it's 6.2% of health, and it's about 4% of mana regen. One proposal is to
What it says is 32 mana, so it's a static
Yeah,
value.
it's a numeral.
As well as you gain mana throughout the game, even though it's a marginal amount, it doesn't scale.
Anyway, so they're thinking about increasing the increase the health regen as well as increase the mana regen. There's one idea behind it is because they want to make laning more important, and they want to make laning and the protection of the regen globes more important.
They want to make missing a regen globe a big deal and getting outlaned and being able to deny those a bigger deal, which
Yeah.
I think is smart.
Right. Right now, regen globes aren't really that important unless you have a quest for them.
So another idea that they posted was to increase the cooldown of the healing well. One proposal is from 100 seconds to 300 seconds. Another idea is to 120 seconds. Is another idea. Also,
I think,
another idea is keeping the health output the same while increasing the amount of mana from 20% to 30%. So let's talk about those first 2 points first before we talk about the other stuff that they mentioned. So, what do you guys think about the idea to changing the regen globes?
I think that they should do that. I think that without last hitting in the game, making the regen globes a big objective for the laning phase and forward laning is a good idea. Like, it gives you another thing to fight over in the lane, not just about pushing and not just about ammo on your forts, right? Those globes are a bigger deal. It makes whoever wins the fight in the lane earn an advantage, particularly if there's less sustain coming out of the support characters and out of like the self-heal characters.
I think that's a change. You can't make that change and have that be the only change. There has to be other changes surrounding that.
Oh, sure. I mean, all of this is going to have to be a very big holistic patch. Like, they're not going to be able to trickle out changes to support characters a little at a time. They're going to have to make a very big global change directed at support and sustain in the game of HOTS. We actually had a patch like this. We did this a long time ago in League of Legends, because what we were finding is that sustain made people into massive lane bullies. And these characters, for example, like Thrall, are like the biggest lane bullies in the game because it's impossible to dislodge them. And even if they lose a fight, they just sit back and they chain lightning a couple times, and now they have more health than you, and they just go back in.
What do you think, Dan?
Well, I think it's a good thing too, because I guess when I originally played Dota, there was a lot more emphasis on the laning and then denying creeps. It seems like for Heroes of the Storm, a lot of it is just kind of playing not to lose until level 10. And then level 10, all the coordination and the combos come in. So I do think it's a good change. I really like the healing fountain change. I think possible change of
which change are you talking about?
Yeah, I think the change for the healing fountain to 300 seconds would be really good. Because right now I think it gets abused a lot. So if you have kind of a mistake, you can just get a healing well pretty quickly.
I think that's an awful lot.
I think that'll be pretty cool.
I think 300 seconds is too much. I don't think you'll get many taps out of that. I think 120 is reasonable.
Wait. What's Scott?
Once every 5 minutes, if you change to 300 seconds, that is way too long.
What I would like to see happen is cooldown get reduced, but the amount of health and mana reduced as well.
I think actually most of the time the healing well heals more for your health than for mana. So I'd like to see more mana get refilled. I'm
a big fan of the 120-second change and increasing the mana production from 20 to 30%. Because right now, like a lot of fights, and I'm thinking more like something like early game, like Infernal Shrines, where you go to shrines and you're pretty high health. You know, maybe you're like 80%. And you can fight, but your mana's only like 20%. And it's just like, well, do I stay here and, you know, kind of poke at them a little bit? But I can't really poke that much because all I can do is auto attack damage because I'm going to go home. Or do I, you know, hearth back and get full mana and come back, but they're already going to have like half the objective completed and we're not going to have anything. Where if you have the fountains giving back mana on top of that, it lets you hit up those fountains and come back and do some real damage rather than just coming back with higher health.
What do you think, Pat?
I actually kind of like the idea, hasn't been mentioned yet, of having a mana fountain and a health fountain.
Interesting.
Separate them.
I actually think it could be interesting to do them the way that they were in Warcraft 3, and to have the healing well actually have a mana pool that it uses to heal and give mana for you. So that you can actually store larger bursts of healing or mana to use at your discretion if you want to. I think that could be an interesting layer to add.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. So you could hit up the well if you're pretty much full life, and then you get more mana back instead of health.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. Yeah, I changed my mind. That sounds way better.
It's a little battery, but then they have to have each well be individualized per person, which is that's
you could still use the same well avatar. I think they would have to have a personal font because otherwise you're going to have one asshole who's terrible, who's basically trolling you, and just taking everything out of the well for your team.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd have to put a self cooldown on top of the additional number of health restored or mana restored.
But I just think it adds a layer of mind gaminess to it where you're like, okay, well, do I want to go all the way back to Fountain and heal myself from there where there is an infinite amount of it and save this to where maybe it's more impactful? Like maybe I save that well so that I get a big full heal for the objective or, a big amount of mana for the objective. Or sometime when I need to have like really quick response time and I use the Fountain more to store up more health and to tap off from that. Or do I tap off of it frequently to keep my lane presence up. So, I mean,
Quick question. What is the name of this place that you go when you go back to Heart? What's that place called? Do you guys know? I know what it is.
I believe it's the Altar of Storms in Heroes of the Storm.
It's the Hall of Storms.
Oh, Altar is in Warcraft 3.
Yeah, Altar of Storms is Warcraft 3, but it's the Fountain. It's been the Fountain since
Yeah.
No one's changing that.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about some other things that were mentioned in this post as well. So one idea that they have is removing health regen and not allowing sustained talents. What do you guys think about that?
I think you need
terrible
some
idea.
health regen. I really don't like the idea of having no health regen.
Yeah,
Again,
I think that's kind of stupid.
We did drastically reduce healing and health regen in League of Legends, and it seems to have been a positive influence on the metagame because it allowed more diversity of characters. It really opened up a lot of the playing pool. I would like to see all support characters come back to about the healing levels of like a Tyrande, like that kind of level. I don't know what that's going to do to a character like Morales, who really relies on just outputting a shit ton of healing. And a talent like Healing Beam would feel super unresponsive if she didn't have just a crap ton of healing going out. But the way that what that does is it reduces the value of the skirmishes in the game, where like if you don't win a very decisive fight, you basically haven't done anything. So it slows down certain phases of the game and certain types of engagements, and I think it rules out certain comps sometimes. So shields, I don't think have the same problem because shields are reactive, right? Something like Medivh's ability, you put that down in response to damage. Or Tassadar's shield, and you lose part of that utility if you time it badly. So I think those feel a little bit better and a little bit more responsive, but it's never a bad time to heal, really.
Well, that's why the whole stun and CC and burst meta were so prevalent for the majority of the game.
Because if you don't lock down a kill, then you haven't really done anything. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about support. So in the post, it doesn't really talk about supports that much, but I said before in the Caldor video, he asked the support player for My Insanity about support characters in general, and this is what he said about support characters. He said basically, supports only serve one purpose. There's too much focus on healing and saving other players from position mistakes. And all the plays that a support makes are reactional. There's nothing proactive about it. And he was saying that he wants to have supports be focused less on the healing and to do more proactive stuff within the game, which is basically
Medivh.
Which is basically what Medivh is. He's that kind of guy that has minimal healing. He actually has, it's very minimal in healing, but he does a ton of utility. And he actually has one,
you can talent for one heal. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he has like a major talent is the one that, allows you to be proactive and do proactive plays. But I do agree with him about supports. I feel as though all your job right now as a support is to not die and just watch your allies, make sure that none of them die. Mm. And if they go somewhere where they shouldn't go, you heal them up and bring them back to where they're as much as possible.
Well, interestingly enough, in League of Legends, Blitzcrank, which is kind of like the League equivalent of Stitches, is considered a support. Because he doesn't do a crap ton of damage. What he does is you pair him with a character who does do a lot of damage, and he moves people positionally to a point where that player can safely damage him. And that's his role. And he doesn't need a ton of gold to do that role, which in support is mostly defined by gold in League of Legends, where the support player will not get gold so that the player who's playing the assassin can have all the gold so that he can get really buff and huge. So you play a character like Pudge in Dota, or like Blitzcrank in League of Legends, or Stitches as like a lane partner with an assassin. That's how that role evolved once a lot of the sustain was stripped out.
So Scott, what do you think about Splendor's idea about supports and having them be pretty much they only have one type of responsibility?
I mean, the first question I gotta ask, and I think really is it really that bad to have a certain role that is reactive instead of proactive?
I would say so.
It adds diversity to the game. I mean, I really don't see a problem with a certain role being reactive.
It's very one-dimensional, though. It's just the characters are kind of boring to play.
Well, you don't get to feel like a playmaker. That's I think the biggest thing is you don't get a lot of the big highs of being a guy who comes in and kills 5 people, for example, if you're an assassin.
So you're not a glory hound? Is that the support role doesn't do that anyways. Like, even if they redesigned it, you're still not going to be the guy who's like, oh, look at me, I went and soloed 3 people.
All right, so
there is a certain satisfaction to hitting a really long range arrow onto Rhonda or something and setting up a kill like that.
Yeah,
that feels really good.
There's also an extreme satisfaction to laying down a palm at the right time and getting it to go out and completely turning around a fight.
So
Palm is a great ability, though, because Palm, as I mentioned, relies on things like timing and discretion to get right, because you can just screw up a palm. And so because the high risk, high reward nature of that ability, it feels really good to hit a really clutch palm.
So Pat, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say that the support characters do have proactive abilities. It's called the alternate heroic that no one uses. They need to... No, they exist. Like, Lily has Water Dragon, Malfurion has Twilight Dream, which is, like, the best playmaker ability. Me and Scott have done the Tyrande Malfurion a lot. If you watch this show, you know we talk about it all the time, because you turn the fight around with a Silence and a Starfall.
That reminds me of that game we played.
What he's saying, with the way the game is played, if you're the only support, you can't take those.
You can't do that. Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. You can't do that.
And
that's why they're trying to change the skills to make these abilities useful.
Well, that's why they're talking about increasing the regen globes,
Exactly.
And they're talking
and
about
healing
healing
from other sources.
So.
Right. But, I mean, there's only so much you can do before you got to completely redesign every single support, because at a certain point, if you're talking about toning down the healing of them, why am I picking a support? I might as well pick an extra damage dealer if the supports aren't
they are going to have to do that if they choose to make this change. We had to do that.
I'm not sure. I really see Blizzard redesigning characters, and it's not just going to be, numbers adjustments. Some of these skills that they have are going to have to completely be changed for them to be effective.
Healing Beam would have to be a totally different ability. The Bright Wings Healing Mist would have to be a totally different ability.
Okay, that's not going to happen.
Would have to be a totally different ability. Why not? Why wouldn't that happen? Blizzard certainly has the resources to do it.
No, I kind of agree. I kind of agree with Scott. It's like within a certain general role, like support, you have characters which are on the different spectrums of that support role. Like Morales is clearly 100% support almost.
She's 100% healing as well, pretty much.
Yeah, healing
is her utility, and her healing is always massive.
She's got damage reduction with her safeguard, and she's also got the knockback to help peel.
And safeguard is a very is a much more. It's an ability that relies on you casting it out on the right time, right? Mm-hmm. Like you just like a lot of using your healing beam is just leaving it on the person who's being attacked.
I mean, you just have different characters which are on different parts of the spectrum of that role. Same thing with the tanks, the assassins, and specialists.
But if they're bad for the game, then why not remake them? The question.
Are they bad for the game?
I don't think they're bad for the game. They add diversity to the rules. I mean, you can pick.
But they don't add diversity to the metagame. That's the thing.
I think they do. I think it's kind of boring to just kind of have someone like a narrow view of what a support is. Like it's only this one thing.
Well, the problem is that on the competitive scale, a very narrow subset of heroes are allowed because they fill a role. Like the 3 healers that are used are Karazim, Rhaegar, and Uther, because both those 3 of them have ults that correct positional mistakes. That's why they're used. You can't use Malfurion because Malfurion he heals over time, and in a burst meta, you can't do that.
Well, I think
so. What David's saying is that on the high level play, they've all made the game so efficient to get an advantage, which is the kill, and so everything else is excluded. But as a whole, like outside the esports community, I like Malfurion. He heals well in noob games, but on the highest level of play, it's never going to work. That's the problem.
Well, I think the problem is that there's only one really good healer. The rest of them are all shit. And they need to like buff Malfurion, they need to buff Kerosene. They need, because the only one that's any good is Rhaegar. So what happens is that if there's only one good healer, because Rhaegar is the best, he has burst healing. He has his ultimate is a guaranteed, pretty much, as long as the character doesn't die.
AoE healing with a chain.
With Kerosene, you have to, you have a half a second window to get that one right, to get his ultimate correct. And
but they, in a pro level play, they have largely the same effect, because those guys aren't going to miss.
Well, actually, I've been watching a lot of the Summer Regional, or Summer Global, and they all just get 7-sided strike. Even the pros don't even get the bomb anymore.
Now, a lot of them will do 7-sided strike, depending on how the game's going. It's true. That's a very powerful ability.
Yeah, so...
Well, Matt, what you're saying is one character's OP, isn't the fix just to make that one character, not as good?
No, I think that they should make Kerosene and Malfurion better.
I disagree. I think that Malfurion, his heal, because it's over time, is more the direction that they want to go with healing. Mm-hmm. And the same with a character like Tyrande, has a much smaller amount of healing, but has a lot of other abilities that are support-oriented, but that I think are just more fun to use. Like, she has Owl, she has Lunar Flare, she has Starfall, she has the ability to grant stealth, and even the original intention, right, of her stealth ultimate was to grant just stealth, and they had to add healing to it to make her more effective, to fit her into this role, because healing is so important in HOTS. And I think that kind of just harkens back to the sort of the Blizzard's background was not in MOBAs. Their background is in the old Holy Trinity kind of RPG. So they like having sort of the healer role in the game. And so their notion of support is different than the notion of support in a League of Legends type game, which is a support is someone who is more of a playmaker, positionally oriented, abilities that buff other people, make the team more effective kind of role, but doesn't actually bring healing necessarily.
Well, the healing over time doesn't do shit at lower MMRs. Doesn't do it. They're basically useless at that level.
Because if you have bad positioning, you're still caught and you're still getting beat to crap, and it's not. But it doesn't matter though. If there wasn't other healing in the game, that would be still a significant ability, or you just rely more on other abilities that Malfurion brings to the table, like his entangling roots. I
think the majority of players are lower levels, and that's why Morales pwns the noobs. Because they don't know he just dishes out.
Yes, and playing Morales, though, playing against a Morales is a horrendously frustrating experience. Because if you don't have
a quick match, or if you're not talking to your teammates, then yes.
If you don't have a coordinated team, Morales is a noob stomper and a very just really, really terrible to play. Even in World of Warcraft, it's very terrible to play against really good healers when you don't have a coordinated team and you don't have good healers on your team. It's a steamroller. The battlegrounds are decided by healers in that game. And then healing's not going anywhere in that game because it's required for rating and so many other things. But
that's fine though, because if they're a pure healer, then their cap on how good they are to the team is limited, right? They're never going to be a top tier player because they're easy to play.
That's not true, because for example, in World of Warcraft, high-end players have always skewed towards druids, or I don't know if they always have. I followed that scene enough, but they've tended to skew towards druids because druids actually bring a lot of crowd control to the table as well. And druids have great multi-target healing, and that game is based on large numbers. So
I can't speak for that game, but it seems to me that at least the simpler players like Lily and Morales, they're good at low levels, but at higher levels, they're not really as effective. Mm-hmm. You take another healer, which has a higher skill cap, and then they can do a lot better.
Like Uther, for example, who actually has a bad win rate, but is played much more frequently in high-level games. Because he brings other utility.
But even Uther needs a buff, too. I think we've discussed Uther.
I've given my
quite a bit, I think.
Suggestions on that, yep.
Even just listen to us. We have a lot of varied opinions, and it's not going to be solved easily.
No, it's not. And there are some people who really love healing, and those people, they may be very upset by this change.
Well, the thing is that, so at my level, I like playing support. But you can't support noobs because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. So then all the time, if I'm playing Hero League, I can only just watch the team slowly die. But if I had the ability to be more proactive and do things, then I actually could do better.
But I mean, that's your choice. You have other support on the different
But
on the
no
spectrum.
one wants to be supports though. Like
Each Ronda.
because they know if they're a support, they have no ability to change the outcome of the game whatsoever.
Part of it is about promoting diversity in the metagame. Like, for example, when we took denying out of League of Legends, we did it, for a lot of reasons. We did it because it's weird. We did it because it's really hard. It makes a tremendous mechanical demand for the game. And we did it just because a lot of abilities were built around that were very strange in certain ways, and we just didn't feel like it made, like, those abilities weren't as fun. Like, a lot of people who they take Karthus in whatever the lich guy who uses Karthus is, they would take Dark Pact to kill one of their own minions first and have no abilities at the beginning of that game. So, like, abilities like that made the game very passive, and it makes, like, the aggression, like, because you just try and freeze your lane by denying your own minions to deny a golden experience that you could snowball your advantage more and more during, and it makes this big laning phase in that game. So we took it out. And that did change. It really limited the meta, but it limited it in ways that we liked and that we controlled, right? Like, it made the meta much more aggressive, but it did lock you into now a 1-1-2-1 jungle meta game. And it was that way because that was the way to maximize gold now, because you couldn't control the lanes as closely and you couldn't deny gold to the other team. But if you look at a game like Dota has the 3-1-1 meta. Dota has the 1-1-2 jungle meta, and the typical meta in Dota is 2-1-2 because denying is that important. And all of those different types of strategies come with different team comps that open up the playing field more and more and are exciting to watch when somebody pulls out this thing you don't expect. So having that sort of diversity of play is very interesting, and it does give a much broader strategic playing field to the game. Like, I think we'll see a lot more comps and a lot more viability of other picks and champions if they reduce the dependence on healing. So that's why I think it is a good idea for them to explore this. Now, it is going to fundamentally change a lot of heroes, and it's going to fundamentally change a lot of heroes who may be people's favorites. Like, I love playing Morales. Why? Because Morales is a troll. And every win is every win is a decisive win when you're a Morales, right? Like, you finish a team fight, you've cleaned up 4 of their guys, all your guys are at full health, you feel like a god. It's hilarious. But I don't necessarily know that that's a real positive experience for the other team, who are probably flaming each other.
The more I play this game, the more I'm getting upset with the game in general.
Wow.
No, just that, like,
It says during the podcast that we do on the game.
I've been playing with Pat the past couple days. There's always, like, one disconnect. Like, my frustration is that, if you look at the last 3 months, my win rate is like 58%, something like that. But they're still putting me in these games with all these assholes who don't know what the fuck they're doing. And it's getting to the point now where, like, I'm considering just creating a brand new account and starting fresh. Because for some reason, their algorithm refuses to put me in games that are not with these assholes who don't know what the fuck they're doing. Dan and I played a Hero League game, and this guy, he's supposed to be, like, the best player on our team, and he was shit.
Well, I mean,
so
it's a team game, and everyone can't be like your perfect player, or else you'd always win.
Well, another thing maybe to just adjust your hero selection. I mean, you probably have ones that you like playing, but characters, I think, like Thrall is much more able to carry a game, or Greymane. Yep. I'm sure Scott plays a lot of Illidan in low-level games. He just eats folks. Like, characters like that have a strong solo tend to help you carry yourself out of these slumps and these, like, they called it Elo hell in League of Legends.
Well, that kind of takes away the point of the game, right? Like, if you have to be good at a certain type of character to move up, isn't the whole, like, that takes away from the importance of the game. Right?
Sure, but there's no perfect
carry,
system.
girl. Yeah, exactly. A team game has a variety of roles, and only one's the carry.
Well, that's where that term comes from, is that in Dota, the whole point was to feed the carry. And you'd feed the carry, and then that person would carry you to victory.
I don't know. Well, I think that's a bad mechanic then.
It is and it isn't, because having the carry effect is what's going to allow you to escape from these black holes, right? And if it didn't exist, then you would be stuck there forever, because one person cannot influence the team enough to go forward. So unless you are playing 5-mans all the time, you're stuck at the lowest spot where you fell to. But It's just the nature of the beast in a number of ways. The algorithm, the MMR algorithm that Blizzard uses, is based on the ELO rating from chess, which is designed for 1 versus 1 competition. When you win, you take a certain number of points from your opponents, and when you lose a certain number of points. And it's not perfect in team games, and it's very hard to figure out whose fault it is just by numbers.
Well, Matt, I mean, you got to think about it. Your rating is just a number, right? What's important is that you improve your skill with the characters regardless of the number. The
only time I ever get an opportunity to play against any type of good players is when we all play together. So my time to actually play against better players is 2 hours a week?
And usually they're significally better.
So the gap is a lot higher, but
it's a legitimate frustration, I think, that Matt is expressing. What he's saying is that he feels like he doesn't get to enjoy the game as much because he's paired with people who are below his level, and as a result, he has a very frustrating time trying to win.
No. Which is my frustration is that their MMR calculation is weighting the games that I played last year. I feel as though that the weight of each game that I've played is equally the same, and it should be more proportional.
As a matter of fact, actually, the games that you play now are probably weighted less than the ones you played initially, because the way that a lot of algorithms work is they weight your initial games much, much higher, and the more games you play, the less impact each individual game has. So you're going to have to go on a significant win tear probably to break out of where you are.
Yeah,
and the algorithms
play well right now. I mean, Blizzard said it themselves. This whole preseason ending and season 1 starting, this was a soft reset on your MMR. So as long as you win and do well out the gate, you will jump out of there fairly quick.
Yeah, your MMR is only going to be counted for unranked draft for next season. That's why you guys always give me shit for playing AI games. But the reason why I do that is because I don't want to take losses anymore, because that affects my MMR.
It's just a number, Matt.
No, it's not a number. No, I don't care what my number is. I just want to play against. I want good games, and the games I'm getting. You guys have all seen me playing duo queue. The games are not good. These are not good games.
You're getting good games with Pat, though.
No,
Pat's
no. So actually, me and Matt lose about 60% of our games just because of a lever. But that's the thing. I want the matchmaker to take into account a lever into the game. That's what I really want to happen.
We can all agree on that.
But the games that I've been playing with Pat the past couple of days, it's just me and him. We should have Pat's 1,000 points higher than me in MMR. We should be getting games that are
in between us.
But no, it seems as though all the players that we get on our team are worse players than I am.
Well, a lot of times what the MMR system does in those cases is to try and amortize the games, or I guess homogenize the games, is they'll take the top and the bottom ELO of people who are matched together and drop, and then take the average of what remains.
Yeah.
So if you have one person who's really bad, who's queuing with a really good person, and they get stuck in your game, it's basically discarding them and saying, all right, here's the average rating of what's left.
Right.
But it's there's no perfect system, and a lot of times when you're queuing with someone who's much, much better than you, you are presenting this algorithm with a impossible situation, because unless they can find another person who's queuing with someone 1,000 points higher than them, in the time you're searching, and pair you with that person, it's not going to have a perfect match.
Yeah, but the thing is that I'm not the only one who feels this way. There's other people that I've read, and they're fucking with the power users of the game.
Well, it's a very difficult problem to solve, and I don't know that there is a solution. I'm sure somebody really smart with math and all kinds of shit knows more than me, but it's we struggled with that from day one in League of Legends, and the longest we could ever shut people up about matchmaking was about 3 weeks, and we'd be we roll out all these things. Day 2, everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's so much better," and then by week 3, they're so jaded again against even though it did get way better, and they're just like, "Fuck matchmaking! Matchmaking's so terrible. Matchmaking ruins this game," and then you make a whole bunch more improvements, and you get a small reprieve from the ire of the community. That's
just noobs thinking they're better than they are, and then they're getting upset.
Confirmation bias is a significant part of it as well. We had I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, where mid to high ELO was a meme in the community because everyone thought they were mid to high ELO, and nobody thought they were worse than that.
I will say that I know I'm not that good. I will say that. I have no problem admitting that. But like, I should not be in games where like I have to ping people to join up and group up at for objective.
Yeah, and all 5 people
I shouldn't have to do that anymore. Like, I don't mind. That should not happen. I should not be like pinging retreat when you're in a lane by yourself at level 15.
No, people have different skill sets. Some people are good at knowing position. Some people are good at a certain character and using the abilities and chaining the abilities and stuff. Players aren't just linearly.
Some people are better than everybody, but they disconnect often, so they're dropped down to play with you.
That is true. And some people are like Pat, who are they're in freaking Abu Dhabi, and they want to play with their friends that they met in America because that's how they keep in contact. Like, we had a huge group of players in League of Legends. This was during we came out during the height of the Iraq War, and I would get emails every day from people who were playing with their kids, and they had terrible ping problems, terrible disconnect problems, and some of them couldn't queue with their kids anymore because bombs knocked out the army internet, and they were getting flagged as leavers too much, and I would have to go in and reset their toxicity rating
really
countermeasures by hand. Yeah. and a lot of times you do that, and you also give them a whole bunch of free crap because those guys we didn't have a payment vendor out there at the time, so we couldn't even take their money.
There it is, Matt. You've been queuing with guys from the Middle East.
You could
like me.
You could be, yeah. And those guys they have trouble playing Twitch heroes. Like Pat says, he likes to play tanks because he doesn't have to trying to aim a skill shot when you're a third of a second behind can be really tough.
I don't know.
And Pat is ranked 10. I'd imagine if he had real ping.
Actually, if I play at the same level as all, you'd be a lot better, right? I could be still shot characters.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and talk about another post that came out on the Heroes of the Storm blog, and that is they released the Season 1 rewards, and also when the Season 1 will tentatively end. So it's going to end August 23rd. They also posted the rewards. Now, what I found is that if you look at the rewards, is that you don't get they're skewing, they want people to play more Team League because there are way better rewards in Team League than there is in Hero League.
They also adjusted the gold value significantly to reflect the shorter seasons. But I think actually, Matt, just before we segue out of the ELO, I think that the soft resets, them wanting to do them more frequently, every 3 months, if the season truly does end when they target, you're going to have much more opportunity to every 3 months sort of retest your skills and hopefully break out of, because they don't want people trapped in that ELO. And that's actually, I think, a creative solution because that is a real phenomenon that exists, and you have to really elevate your skill level a lot to become a carry hero in those lower levels, and it's hard to do because you don't get the right kind of practice. So it is a little bit of a self-fulfilling, what is it, catch-22? So yeah. So anyway, go on.
I think the game there's a big flaw in the game is that if you need to move up, the only way to move up is be a carry hero. There's a major flaw in the game.
Well, I mean, hopefully maybe the short seasons is the solution, right? Maybe you're only screwed for 1.5 months because that's when you got your big jump in skill level, and then 40 days later, which is still a long time, it kind of sucks, but you then can retest and you can be a big tank hero and
whatever. It's just not. It's not even for me. It's not that fun anymore to play anymore. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about the. But let's go ahead and talk about the.
You gotta edit that out of the podcast, by the way.
No, that's how I played today with Pat. This morning with Pat, and we played 5 or 6 games, and only one of the games was actually a real game. All the other ones we had
disconnects.
We had disconnects. We had 3 flaming Medivhs. We had players not.
Well, that's because you had
for 5 minutes.
You had games with a new character.
And this is also
a character. That's
going
to happen. That's going to happen.
Okay. Yeah. But also, Medivh is also a tricky character, right? So this is a hard week.
But I played with Pat on today's Thursday. We played yesterday, the day before. There's always it's 1 out of every 6 games is actually a real game.
No, we played yesterday, Matt, and we were the same level.
1 out of 3 was a good game.
No, we had 3 good games, except the first game where the guy left for the first
10
6
minutes,
or 7 levels.
Yeah,
6 or 7 levels.
Yeah, and then the other one we had a really bad player suicide a lot. Yes,
they were close games. They were close games.
Levers
we could have won those games.
Yeah, I agree. Levers are horrible, and right now I'm very disappointed in Blizzard's reconnect algorithm because I have sat at that reconnect screen sometimes for 5 minutes waiting for it to catch up. I don't understand what they're doing as their reconnect algorithm, that they have this weird catch up thing. Because we don't have that in League. It literally just loads the game and drops you back in. I don't know why that's different. And it might be because they're doing client side and we were all server side. I'm not sure, but their reconnect algorithm is terribad.
It's the same thing with the replays as well. You know, you have to kind of fast forward through it. You can't just jump immediately.
Oh, but that actually is a limitation on the nature of replays. And Blizzard's replay system is actually borderline miraculous. Like they solved like unsolvable problems in replays. You could never rewind replays until StarCraft 2. People thought that was literally impossible, and somehow they figured it out. I'm still not entirely sure how they did it. And even their algorithm occasionally hitches when you rewind. Sometimes it screws things up. And the other thing was, like, in League of Legends, we could make replays, but they'd break every time we patched, and we patched literally every 2 weeks. So we never even released them. And Blizzard, they have this thing where when you, because of the power of the Battle.net client, when you load an old replay, it actually patches your game back to that old patch to make sure that this replay still works, I think.
Yeah, it does.
At least that's the only way I think they could be able to do what they're doing. So their replay system is second to none. They invented replays and they're the best at them. But what's happening now, the reason you can't fast forward, you can't jump forward, is because what a replay is basically a text file that stores every command that you executed in the game. And so until you have actually executed those commands, you can fast forward all the way to like 8x through the whole game, leave it, go get a cup of coffee, come back, and then jump back to where you want. And then you'll be able to skip around because it's recorded all of that. But you got to execute them all first. That's why that happens.
Because it doesn't know how long each command takes, you mean?
Yeah, so it doesn't, and it doesn't know because it has to load that rule set, right? It has to load that patch and then execute those commands and then record it, and that's how it knows what happened in the game.
I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. It's just commands and timestamps. That's how it keeps them so small. Like they could do a video of it, but then you couldn't jump around and look wherever you wanted, right? So that wouldn't be as powerful. And
well, they can add timestamps in the command file.
Programming war.
They can sample it. They can sample the timestamp into the command file.
Maybe I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but I've been told that is that guy.
Dan is, by the way.
I'm not going to invent it, but
if you did, you'd probably get a job at Blizzard.
Yeah, BlizzCash, dude.
BlizzCash.
And then you owe all of us $20 in BlizzCash for giving you the idea.
I'll probably get you guys a new mount, and that's it.
I'll take it.
GankBush,
that's what I'd spend the BlizzCash on anyway.
Dude, we get like a polygon that says GBS.
Yeah, with the grill on it.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It glows and stuff. That'd be cool.
Nexagon.
A Nexagon.
Shout out to Blizzard, by the way. I actually bought the MVP Nexagon because I didn't realize they're actually giving a cut of those profits to the MVP guys. That's a pretty cool way for them to support their championship teams. I don't ride it on any character, and I bought it just to support the team for winning.
All right. Speaking of which, did you guys get pretty cool mounts and stuff after preseason ended?
Epic Wolf?
Yeah, I got the regular wolf. I think Pat and Scott both got the Epic Wolf, though, which is pretty cool.
What's the Epic Wolf? I got the one with just like the flames on it.
Yeah,
more flames.
Yeah,
bigger
it's got more like tusks and like I actually like the regular wolf better, so I wasn't that disappointed for not getting the Epic one. But
yeah.
It looks great on my Thrall skin.
Got tons of gold too. Happy about that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it rained, man. It rained.
Yeah. And speaking of that, so back to my original point with rank 1 for season 1. Is that you will not be able to get a mount in Hero League unless you are a platinum level player. But if you play Team League, even if you're bronze, you get a mount.
They really want to incentivize people making friends and connecting.
Yeah, so I think it's so all you have to do is play 10 games and you get a free mount at the end of season 1.
Yeah. So, and I actually really like that they're doing that. They're emphasizing the queuing as 5 and playing as 5. I think League of Legends now has a dynamic queue, which is basically like you queue in with as many people as you want into rank play, and they don't separate out the 5-mans. I think that's going to be a very negative play experience for everyone not in a 5-man. So I'm glad that they've continued to differentiate that queue, and think that it's good to have those players play separately.
I think the game is just a better game in general when you play with people that you know.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm really glad
Just
that I
makes
was
it more
playing
fun.
Falstad that one weekend when I ended up matched with you guys, because
You were a noob though, man. That was a noob false
I was apparently a very new Falstad.
Yeah. Well, again, that was like when I was like playing the game for like 1 month or something like that.
Yep.
Back in those days, actually, I was a little bit of noob just for selecting Falstad because he was terrible at the time. Just for some reason, I had some like kind of like idiot savant thing going on with old crappy Falstad. I've never been able to play him since. I'm shitty at Falstad now. It's bizarre.
All right. So another topic is that this one guy did a massive data analysis of 2 million games. He wanted to see what type of team comps do better. So he wanted to see, do teams that have higher discrepancy between the best player and the low player do better than players that are all average the same MMR. So basically this is what he came up with, is that teams that have a really good player and a really bad player do better than a team comp that has all average players. And also he found that the biggest...
That's the carry effect.
Yeah, the carry effect. And also he found is that the actual hero level of the character that you're playing has the biggest impact of you doing well.
Mm-hmm.
So he says that it's responsible for 30 to 70% of your ability to win. So basically he says if you're at level 10 or higher, you have a really good chance of winning or doing better than lower, which is actually kind of like duh.
Unless you're an asshole like me who has level 10 on every hero.
Well, you don't count. You're the one who kind of gamed the system to get that.
I'm a dirty exploiter apparently,
Yeah.
But I can't do that anymore. So,
but yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. I don't really feel like I have a good grip on a character till I get him at least to like level 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes longer.
I feel like I can get a pretty good grip on characters, I think more quickly than a lot of people, but I've been playing a lot of MOBAs and a lot of different characters for a long time because I used to design them. But
yeah, but not just
certainly.
getting a grip, but to get a grip and understand and be able to execute.
Oh yeah,
Like
no,
that.
it's like I wasn't able to pull off really good plays on Thrall until I was playing quite a lot of games with him. So I agree.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I won't play a hero in Hero League until I get him at least up to like level 7, because before that I feel like I'm just crippling my team.
I don't know. I have no idea what you mean.
The characters that I
that.
play well, I play a lot.
The other side of the coin.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the last topic, which is the Summer Global Championships. So
Yeah.
I've been watching them. Have you guys been watching them?
I have as well, yeah.
So a lot of things that I noticed is that first of all, Greymane is used a lot.
Yeah, tremendously. I'm actually going to start playing him again.
I think
It's the
Greymane's
new
been
build.
super popular for months, basically.
He's being paired with a lot of very strong support abilities to make his wolf extremely impactful.
His wolf hits like a truck.
Yeah,
Yeah.
always has. But keeping it up is the trick, and they have really good team coordination. So they just turn him into a smart bomb, basically.
Yeah.
Really impressive. Some of the Greymane play I've seen. Really fucking impressive. I've been blown away.
Another thing is that I've noticed is that Rhaegar is usually picked in the first 3 picks. Every team is prioritizing Rhaegar because of what I mentioned earlier.
Ray God.
He has sustain and burst healing, and as you mentioned before, his ancestral healing is a get out of jail free for a mistake, basically, right? It's
It's a high prioritization of Sonya as well. So-
Fantastic art.
Yeah, and so one thing, in terms of specific matches, I wanted to point out, if you watch My Insanity versus Please Buff Arthas, that should be available on the Blizzard YouTube channel. But
It's actually on the DreamHack YouTube channel. It's
Okay.
the best place to watch because they have a playlist set up with all of the games in a row. I don't know if Blizzard has it as well, but the DreamHack channel has it, and it's a
There you
very,
go.
very good coverage.
Yeah.
Because I had to watch on YouTube because it was at like 4:00 in the morning Pacific.
well, see, what's good is that when I wake up in the morning, I just turn on Twitch and they're just playing the replay of it. So I just watch the replay of it. If you want to learn about positioning, watch My Insanity position against Please Buff Arthas. You'll see textbook positioning all around, which is actually quite amazing. The biggest upset, Gale Force Esports. Now they're coming into the this tournament just beating Team Niventic 4-0 like a month ago, or less than a month ago.
It was a very punishing, commanding win in North America for them.
And they lost to My Insanity. But both of those games that they played against My Insanity were really, really close, and it came down to like 1 or 2 plays. But then they faced Please Buff Arthas. They won the first game really easily, and then the next 2 games they lost, and they actually got bounced from the tournament.
Yeah, I actually think did not consider this a huge upset because they don't have a lot of international experience and they're a new team. So I thought this was going to be a big learning experience for them personally. And it just seemed like a lot of it was they were in an unfamiliar environment. They had travel problems. They weren't really 100% there. And they seemed to go on tilt a little bit and they had a little bit of sloppy play. It was, they're still a very talented team, and I think they have a really bright future in the scene. I hope they don't break up or anything over this, but...
Yeah, no, I think they rely on KT or Li Ming to live on those characters, it seems like, as well.
Well, and one of the reasons that they probably do that is because they're used to one specific metagame and not having a lot of exposure to the international team. Like, people... they may just hit a wall kind of in that there's a specific type of play they don't play very well against. Until you get them out of America, you're not going to see that really what they're, they may have just beat the American metagame,
Yeah. Stuff like that.
Does that segue into the win time?
He does not like it when you do not push.
But anyway,
you got to do something. You can't, I see you guys all the time. You go, hey, we'll go all top. There's 3 of you top. You gank one person. The other person's back at the well. Okay, let's run somewhere else. It's like there's no other good opportunities. You got to push. There's been multiple games where we not having those or them having those structures up has hurt us.
It's about creating a situation on the map where when you do get the right team fight, you're able to win. So. The win condition, as they call it.
Or not even just able to win, just to take advantage of an objective or something. If you say, like, for Sky Temple, you gank top and you're able to push those top towers down and, eventually when you're taking the objective, they're not able to tap the well. If you don't push and that well's still up and they're able to come in and poke you and hit up the well and push you out later on, that stuff impacts the game, and all of these little things make a difference.
So they got to remake the wells,
or remake our playstyle.
Just kidding.
Well, our playstyle will have to adjust significantly if they do take out Healy from the game. So
yeah,
or significantly nerf it.
Push the pile, guys. Keep pushing the pile.
Although we actually have had some certain success with having like 2 of with you and Scott playing Tyrande and Malfurion and playing like more of a light support but counterplay kind of like counter dive strategy. We just don't do really well when we have to initiate
with a lot of damage.
Yeah. Our Achilles heel seems to be when we have to coordinate to actually make an attack. If we try and play that way, we get
annihilated. Just one target with CC does not work.
Well,
we do not set that damage.
Well, there was a video that came out where they show you the audio of the pro player teams communicating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when they communicate, it's all proactive and saying, "Oh, go after XYZ, get XYZ." We don't do that. We just we have a team fight. We have a team fight. Then we yell at each other after the team fight. That's how we communicate. So,
well, on our good days, we have better communication. A lot of times, it depends on how tired Scott is when the game begins.
Yeah, but
I would actually be curious to compare our win percentages based on how much Scott talks during the game.
But anyway, all right, let's go ahead and move on to the
win time.
The win time.
That segues into the win. I think we all have the same win time for this week.
What's the win time moment, Dan?
I think I gave the win time moment last week. I think I should give someone else the honors this week.
No, I don't know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
You guys are kidding, right?
Is it the 40-minute game?
Wasn't it like an hour?
40-minute game.
Wasn't it like an hour? I think Pat should give the win time. I mean, Patch.
It was 40 minutes, not an hour.
Patch. Patch is to do this patchwork. No, it was a Garden Terror map.
Oh yes,
it was a team league game. Mm-hmm. And it's about, in the 40th minute where we both had terrors up.
Wait, what level were we? We were like level 29, right?
Yeah, something like that.
28 or 29.
We had team fights in the middle.
No, we were like 20.
It was like 26 or 27.
Mm-hmm. Okay. It's close to
I think it was
Cap,
more
though.
It was a team fight in the middle of the map in the center lane. Both terrors were there. All 5 teams are there doing a team fight. And it came down to terror versus terror.
Yeah.
And
we out-terrored them.
No, it was actually, I think, they had a terror and KT, and you chased down KT and got the kill.
Chased down KT and I punched him to death. Well, actually, hell, that's when Dan had the bad mosh pit. Only his death metal actually hit. He went in there and died in seconds.
Death metal is way better than mosh pit because you can't interrupt death metal.
Well, but that was also the game.
Suicide.
That was also the game where Scott died to catapults at the very end.
Yeah.
But somehow we still out-terrored them at the very end. Pat's terror took down the fort or the core faster.
They're heroes. I told their Zeratul, their KT, and their Arthas.
They're all boss pitted. That's why.
I was playing Raynor on that game. I actually have the replay saved. The title of the replay is "I just got 588,000 XP on a level 20 character."
But yeah, at the end, it was Terra versus Terra, and I was at their base, and their Terra had to try to defend. And level 27 Terrors eat bases.
Yep, that's it's really hard to take down a Terror at that late in the game.
Yeah, but the thing is, your last hit, and you only had like 10% left life on your Terror or something like that.
Well, I had
full life. He had full life inside the Terror, though. We were going to be fine, but it was still I was very white knuckled towards the end there.
Yeah, the anticipation when you started storming down toward the core, knowing that was the last shot for our team.
And after we won that game, the opposing team went back and queued up again.
I checked. They went back. They were still playing, and it was like 2 a.m. or something when we finished.
Yeah. They were not done.
They're like, we're not done.
We're doing this again.
Well, you can't go off on that note, man.
Yeah.
Getting crushed.
40-minute loss is pretty rough to swallow.
It's truly.
It was longer than 40 minutes, I think. It seemed longer than that.
45 minutes. That's why Garden Terror is the worst map, I think.
Yeah, and both sides had no
Terror right now is significantly orders of magnitude longer on average than the other maps. So they got to do something about that.
I hate that map. Every time I see it, I'm like, ugh.
I told you guys were super in favor of those changes. I said they were not good, and we're not going to help speed up the game.
That was right.
It's true. We thought they would speed up the game, though. We were complaining about the game time on Garden Terror before.
Speaking of that, hey Scott, you need to play your Hero League because we can't call you rank 1 anymore because you're no longer rank 1.
Yeah, you're right.
There is no rank 1 anymore.
I know. What do we call you?
What I'm upset about the leagues is why is there no Wood League?
Wood? The Wood League. Oh,
I want the Wood League for the Terabad people.
Yeah.
I want to see because if you look at hot slogs, they consider bronze the bottom 30%.
Yeah.
That's really low. I want that bottom percent to be in Wood League.
And bottom 10% should be Wood.
So I can judge them.
Well, we actually had at the very beginning when we were trying to get review scores for League of Legends, they all came back terrible, by the way. It was hilarious because it's all competitive only title and nobody knew how to play MOBAs, but the game journalists would call us up and they'd be like, there's something wrong with your matchmaking algorithm. And we'd be like, oh really, what's wrong with it? They're like, well, we can't get games anymore. I would check their ELO ratings and some of them had actually gone negative. Which shouldn't, I checked the algorithm because it shouldn't be possible, but apparently they had, somehow managed to lose so many games that the algorithm had just, their total value was negative. They'd lost too many points and they had no more points to give, so they just... And when they hit negatives, they could, the algorithm did not have a condition for that. We'd never seen that before, and so, they literally couldn't get a game anymore.
That's the game telling them to stop playing.
Yeah, basically. It should just pop up the 10 minutes should expire and it should just say uninstall now or something.
Uninstall now and think about your life.
Yeah. I had to go in and
that's the title of that. Uninstall not think about your life. That's our title.
I'm sure someone who doesn't play HOTS is going to think differently about that quote.
If you're spending that much time into that game and you're one of the worst players ever to play it, I mean, you gotta reevaluate things.
It was the game journalists in general, they don't ever play a game for a significant period of time, so they're great for single player games that don't really require a lot of practice. You just play through, you review it, great. When you get them in a competitive game, they're just trying to finish enough games to like write their review and move on with their lives, and they just get stomped sometimes, and they get really mad a lot of the time because it's not fun to lose a competitive game.
Also, we got an email. I just saw it right now.
Sweet.
What the?
Yeah, I should check this more often.
What the
GankBush
hell?
Squad
Yeah,
mailbox.
Mail time.
No, it's
one of my
from,
coworkers.
Paul
From
Beck.
Tychus.
He says, "Love the show. Why doesn't Matt ever talk about the game? Why is he?" Oh well,
That's
well, Paul, you got to hear me talk this episode a lot.
Yeah, you got to hear you talk about how much you hate the game, Matt.
Yeah.
Now you don't
That's
want to
why
play it.
Matt
anymore.
doesn't talk about the game.
You
He's
dirty
so-
humbug.
hates it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Paul, yes, I talked about the game this.
Well, he's our moderator. You know, he's the one who keeps me from windbagging for the full goddamn hour of the show.
Pretty much. But anyway, it's all right. Well, there you go, Paul. I read your email, sort of. But email some more.
Yeah.
Email us, please.
So, but
So we have something to talk about on the off days when there's no new hero getting at it.
Yep. You can email us at podcast@gankbushsquad.com. What did he say at the end of the show, Dan?
Oh, it's about damn time.
No,
Wow.
our podcast should never end. Don't say that, Tychus.
Tychus
Yeah.
just trolled us hard, man. Oh, this was
See the
a
Nexus, dog.
big controversial week with the changes to sustain and the esports and everything going on. So
For Dan, David,
Yep.
Pat, and Scott, goodbye. We will see you in the Nexus.
you're damn right.
Okay, let's have some dead air, and we can call it.
The Senate says we can't have a moment of silence anymore, though.
All right, go on. We need like 15 seconds.
Oh man.
It's about damn time.
Oh god. I have not been this hungover in a long time. It's not as bad as the time I got a concussion in the Dominican Republic, but it's pretty bad.